is Ray.
This is Andy.
This is FDS NFL.
How are you, Ray?
Andy,
Yes.
things are going pretty good today. Pretty good. It's been a crazy day. We'll get into that in a few minutes.
Yeah, it's a good time to be a Bills fan.
It's a good time to be a Bills fan.
This episode is brought to you by Moose Light. If you're a Bills fan, you should be celebrating right now with a Moose Light. One of these or one of those weird Radler things that Ray likes.
I'm going to crack a, this is the old original Radler.
Is it on the scary level? Is it scarier than a Moose Light or about equal?
It's scary good.
Scary good?
Scary
All
good.
right.
You can't go wrong with Moosehead.
No.
Can't go wrong.
And if you need a shirt with a logo or a hat with a logo, something like this, go see our buddies the Doyles or their website, dci.com.
Something like that.
The Doyles, because the Doyles
rule.
The Doyles rule. All right.
Andy.
Yeah.
What a crazy day it's been for me.
Okay.
Well, we'll get into the games in a few seconds here, but I may be pulling. I haven't done this since I was in my 20s, where you just make a last minute, totally unprepared trip to go see a Bills game.
Wow. Since your 20s.
I haven't done that since everything's prepared. Yeah. Tickets are booked well in advance. Hotels are booked. Yeah. Everything's booked. This is literally going back to the day where we used to like flip a coin, say where are we going, it would land on the map, and that's where we'd go catch a game.
Man, it would have been a lot harder work back when you were 20 to do something like this. You would have been faxing people. You would have been on the rotary phone calling the ticket salesman.
You just might have.
You would have been buying paper maps just to get yourself.
Just so you know, I had the brick cell phone when I was in my late 20s.
Nice.
Yeah. A lot of you, maybe you don't even know what a bag cell phone is. But
I believe it or not, and I get made fun of this a lot, but when I was in high school, I had my own car, and my mom's a bit of a worrier. You've met her. Yeah. And my uncles worked in the woods, and the only thing that got good reception in the woods of New Brunswick were those old bag phones. And my uncle had to get a new one, and so I got a hand-me-down bag phone. So I had an 86 Plymouth Sundance. This is about 1997, and I'm driving it around with a bag phone in there. And I mean, some people thought it was cool, but most didn't.
That's cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let's get in and talk some football. Do we want to talk about the Bills on Thanksgiving Day, or do we want to talk about the Browns on Sunday?
Well, we've been going too long in these segments. Let's get through the Browns really quickly here. So I'll give you plenty of time to rebut. All right. So there's no excuse for the Browns losing to the Steelers, but they did. Listen, the Steelers and the Ravens are the class of the AFC North, and the Browns simply have not caught up to them. There was a lot of excuses that you could sit and point to for this game. Several starters were out. Several injuries early in the game where we lost key players. Baker hurt his hand midway through the game and was trying to throw in the second half with a glove on for the first time in his career. But none of those excuses matter. There was still no excuse. They should have been able to beat this Steelers team, and they didn't. And all I can say at this point, Ray, is the graphics are still going to show the Browns in the hunt. But they're not in the hunt.
They're done.
They're not in the hunt. It would require a miracle slightly better than when the Bills made the playoffs in 2017, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. They would need some big time help, and they would need to win out. Now that I'm at the point now where the Browns really have nothing to lose, and now they need to focus on what matters the most, because this is what's wrong with the Browns as far as I'm concerned, is the organization, the coaching staff, the entire team cares about too many things more than they care about the most important thing of all, and that's winning games. That's why you can look at so many things that happen with the Browns this season, so many coaching decisions, so many things that happen on the field, so many things that happen off the field, and go, wow, why would you do that if you want to win games? And it's because this team cares more about turning this flashy offense into the second coming of the K-gun and making their defensive players stars and getting all the numbers, and they don't care enough about winning games, which is why you're constantly wondering why they're not running the ball when they should run the ball. Various things like that. It's caught up to them. And this game sort of marks the end of the playoffs for them as far as I'm concerned. And at this point, it's all about playing for the rest of the season, try to come together and go out on a positive note. And, of course, for the coaching staff to try to make a turnaround so that they at least have a shot to keep their job. So congratulations to the Steelers. It hurts me to call them the class of the AFC North. I can call the Baltimore Ravens that much easier because the word class and the Steelers don't go well together with me. But they're a great organization, and they proved it and their coach proved it, being able to beat the Browns with the team that he had on the field.
It was just an example of a real coach and a coordinator. That's what it was.
I don't even know that you'd call him a coordinator at this point.
But here's the biggest thing about Browns fans, and you guys were having a blast heading into this game. I saw all the videos. I saw the videos of the Mason Rudolph piñata with the helmet smashing the piñata.
That was the week before.
This was on the weekend. I just saw it this weekend.
It was an old video, though. It happened before the other game. Anyway,
there was another video this week of a guy's rear view window. He had a picture of Mason Rudolph and a helmet taped to the wiper, keep bashing him in the head.
I laughed at that one.
It was pretty good. There's some pretty creative stuff going on out there, but there's not a Browns fan out there that didn't find that stuff funny. And guess what? This weekend, the Steelers whacked you guys out of the playoffs. And you're right. I don't even know if you can call Nick Kitchens a coordinator, but Freddie Kitchens,
former.
I know that's twice I've called him.
I think work with Nick Kitchens actually.
Actually, that's where it's from.
Yeah,
he's with CIBC now.
Oh,
but there you go. Anyways, Freddie Kitchens, I don't even know if you'd call him a coordinator these days. But it was simply that. It was the difference of a head coach versus a coordinator.
Sure.
And I've given the Browns grief over the fact that Baker Mayfield has regressed huge this year, but it's not just Baker.
No.
Denzel Ward, or is it Denzel Ward?
The corner?
Your corner?
Yeah, well, he's hurt a lot this year, but he hasn't been playing well.
He does not look like a top 5 pick.
I'm starting to wonder if the Browns corners are actually coached to not locate the ball. Just try to stay as long as possible.
Totally get it. They're not looking for the ball.
They're not even turning around to look.
No. Anyways, I really liked that. When they picked Ward, I thought, wow, that was a weird pick, but he looked like a great player. I don't see that right now in that kid.
That's the problem with there's so many great players that aren't great right now.
Right.
So the only hope I have is that the greatness can be pulled back out of them by somebody.
Yeah.
And we'll see.
There you go.
All right.
Before we move on to the Bills, I got one more thing I got to do about the Browns. You know what I got to do, Andy?
What's that?
I got to thank the Browns.
Okay.
I really mean this. I owe you guys a huge thanks for beating the Bills the way you guys beat them.
Okay.
Do you know why?
Why is that?
Ever since you've beat them, they've taken the offensive coordinator, Brian Daboll, and moved him from the sideline to the booth.
Okay.
The Bills are running more of a no-huddle offense. Daboll's on the headset with Josh Allen to the 15-second mark, so he gets to see a little bit of how the defense is lining up. They get to have a little conversation with Josh, and then 15 seconds later, he's snapping the ball, making his read, and going. And however, I don't know what the big difference is from a coaching standpoint, having your coordinator on the sideline up in the booth, other than vision, right?
Yeah.
And you know that even if your coordinator's on the sideline, he's got guys up in the booth communicating with him.
But that takes time. When you're working with 15 seconds to help your quarterback in the headset, it's invaluable to be up there.
Well, whatever it is, since they've made that move, it has helped tremendously. And one of the things that the Bills talked about is playing fearless. After the Cleveland loss, they wanted to play fearless.
Yeah.
And heading into Dallas on prime time on Thanksgiving, America's Day against America's team in prime time. What a game this was going to be. I knew it was going to be a tough game for the Bills. I was really concerned about the Bills heading into this game. And Andy, from the time that this game started, really to the time this game was over, the Bills dominated this game in all 3 categories. I'm going to say 4 categories. Offense, defense, specials teams, and coaching. All categories. They went down there and laid a smackdown on Dallas. It was by far Josh Allen's best game as a pro football player. He looked great in this. The way he stood in the pocket. No panic whatsoever. Waited for his receivers to develop routes. And Cole Beasley, former Cowboy, Cole Beasley, he played it down heading into the game. You knew he was going to want to go back and have a big day against Dallas. I picked him up as a free agent in fantasy against you, and boy, did it pay dividends.
And I benched the Bills' defense against you, and I shouldn't have done that.
Shouldn't have. Over 100 yards receiving and a touchdown. The Bills look great heading into December, Andy, and there has not been a time that I can remember. We have to go way back to 90, like early 90s, where the Bills were heading into the December with a playoff spot pretty much intact.
Right. I've been trying to tell you that it was intact, and you said, no, I need a couple more games. And then I guaranteed that a win over the Cowboys, and you would change your mind. One thing I want to call out that I've seen a change in the Bills since the Browns beat them as well, is that remember I was giving them grief about this bend don't break defense, and they're just simply not aggressive enough and too scared to give up the big play. I noticed that's changed,
it's huge,
that was very evident. It was nice to see your rookie Oliver get in on that and make that big play because it shut up one of your friends that's been hard on him.
Well, Oliver's had a great game the last couple games, really since Cleveland. Cleveland's been the big change. Yeah. Remember last year, Josh got hurt early. He played really well in the last 8 games. That Cleveland game, for whatever reason, and it really wasn't a huge impact on our schedule. I mean, as far as the standings go.
Oh, it's still going to come into play, but we'll talk about that later.
But it is a huge. It's been a huge change since that game.
Yeah. Before we move on, the play of the game that really poured salt in the wound for Cowboys fans when everybody just accepted the fact that it was over was when Josh Allen fumbled the snap and then recovered it, picked it up, and got the first down. When you can pull that off, that was so deflating because everybody in that stadium went from to
it's the heart of a lion.
Yeah.
He's got the heart of a lion, Andy. Yeah. And it's those things that make a team special. And that kid, I'm telling you, I love him. He has got a heart of a lion.
Well, they finally played another team that had a winning record at the time and beat them and put them into 500. So big tests are coming. But again, they did what they needed to do up until this point in the season. Like, in the NFL, it's all about beating all the teams you're supposed to beat and then managing to beat a few of the teams that you're not supposed to beat. And if you look at what the Bills have done this year, that's what they've done. They've beaten mostly all the teams they're supposed to beat, and they've beaten a bunch of teams that they probably shouldn't. You can argue whether or not they were supposed to beat the Browns or not. We'll get into that again. But then look at the Browns. It's the opposite. They've managed to win a few games they weren't supposed to. They can't win any of the ones that they're supposed to.
Exactly.
So anyway.
Let's move on. We're already... We're 13 minutes again, Bills and Browns.
13 minutes. We were about 26 last week. We're doing good.
All right, we're doing good.
Yeah.
All right.
Did you want to talk real quick about Texans Patriots just to make yourself feel better? Or do you want to leave?
I'm going to talk about it right now.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Here we go. New England Patriots, big game, another primetime game. Yeah. I mean, how many primetime games they get? 8 a year, it seems.
I think 6.
All right. There's a lot of primetime games. They go down and take on Deshaun Watson, right? And early on, the Patriots are playing pretty well against Deshaun, but you can't hold him back forever. Mm-hmm. You've got to put up points against guys like Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson, it's fine. Yeah.
No, but I'm saying quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
The kid from Baltimore. His name's slipping by me right now.
I love that you can't think of his name.
Lamar Jackson. Those guys, you got to put up points against those guys. And if you don't put up points against those guys, they're going to burn you. And that's exactly what happened. But what happened in this game, Andy, and I've been saying this a couple times this year, this is not the same Tom Brady we've seen from years past. It's just not. It's not the same Tom Brady. He doesn't look as sharp. He looks rushed in the pocket. He's making a lot of decisions that he wouldn't have made in the past. Now, I've been listening to talking heads all weekend. Yep. What's going on with the Patriots? What's going on with the Patriots? And I keep hearing Gronk is being thrown out there as an excuse. The fact that he doesn't have a Gronk anymore, that he doesn't have a guy that he can trust to go downfield and get the and just take a chance downfield with a receiver.
Like even if he's covered, take a shot.
That's right.
Yeah.
How many times, and we talked about this, I think it was you maybe that even told me this. I used to go crazy when I found out Gronk wasn't playing in a game or wasn't playing in the Super Bowl. Yet people reminded me all the time that Tom Brady won games without Gronk. He won Super Bowls without Gronk.
It's true.
Right? Last year in the Super Bowl, who was his main target? It was Julian Edelman.
Yep.
It wasn't Gronk till the end. It was mainly Julian Edelman. He still has Edelman, doesn't have Gronk. When you go back and look at the tape from Saturday's game, I think Brady's biggest problem, Andy, is the fact that he doesn't trust his O-line anymore. He doesn't trust his offensive line to give him the protection that he needs to let his guys develop downfield. There's lots of plays from Sunday night. Wide receivers were open. Guys are getting open. Brady's not taking the time to find those guys downfield. And I just think he's 42 years old. When a quarterback feels rushed in a pocket at 42 years old, you're getting you're getting exactly that. He does not have that ability anymore as a quarterback to go through his reads and make a play.
I'll try to make my reply to this very short and sweet. We've seen this before. We've seen it before. Multiple times over the last 10 years, we've seen this before. We said this signals the decline. The on to Cincinnati game, you name it, the being down 28-3 to the Atlanta Falcons. We've seen all of this before. Yes, he's won games without Gronk, but who has he never won a game without? Bill Belichick. And who does he still have? Bill Belichick.
He does.
The New England Patriots are 10-2 with a plus 177 point differential. So I just want you Bills fans, you Jets fans, and all you Patriots.
It's the league.
And all you Patriots haters, including myself, I want everybody to take a deep breath and calm down and don't get your hopes up that this is the downfall of Tom Brady, because we've seen this before.
Not at this time of year, though. We have this. Not at this time of year. No.
The on to Cincinnati was this time of year.
By the time Thanksgiving comes around, the Patriots are firing on all cylinders heading into the playoffs.
You cling on to that hope, Ray, but
I'm
want
just
you
telling
to
you, we've never seen this before.
We have.
Where they're struggling in December.
We have.
We haven't.
We have.
Tell me a year.
Well, listen, we'll get into the. We'll go do the research later.
I don't need to. I can tell you, in the month of December, the Patriots don't struggle. Okay. They are firing on all cylinders, getting ready or heading into the playoffs.
It's December 4th. Have they even played a game in December yet?
I said after Thanksgiving.
Fine.
But in December...
Well, let's see what happens in December.
You don't see it. Now,
4 more games in December.
There is talks. The only question I have for you, I have heard talks. I heard it was hilarious yesterday. Stephen A. Smith came in and gave the Patriots this huge speech. And first of all, he had to catch himself because he said, I just want you to know that if he is guilty, I do not promote any man that's hit a woman or anything like that.
Yeah.
But if he is innocent and there are no charges, should the Patriots go out and sign Antonio Brown with the way this offense is looking?
Sure, why not? If he's innocent.
Do you think Robert Kraft would actually do that?
Who knows?
He's got enough heat on him.
Yeah.
I can't see it.
All right. What the? What do you got? Here, I'll give it to you real quickly.
That was mine.
Oh, that was yours.
That was mine.
Oh, so we're already in that. Mine's going to be short and sweet. Mine is Freddie Kitchens and the T-shirt gate. We continue to have dumb things come up in the Browns. He wore the T-shirt. Pittsburgh started it. His brother gave it to him, said, wear it out to the movies. He covered it up with a jacket. But ultimately, it just gave the Pittsburgh Steelers bulletin board material. There is no team that you want to give bulletin board material less than the Pittsburgh Steelers when you're the Browns, and he went and did it, and it's just another moment that defines this season. That's all I got for that, and that's good. Let's move on. Odds and ends.
Well, I want to put my comment on that too.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the T-shirt is just so many things. You got the T-shirts, you got the shoes, You got all these different things, and you said it earlier. The Browns have been an absolute disaster of distractions that they have self-implemented this year. It's not other teams that are coming in and distracting the Browns from doing what they're doing. It's the Browns distracting the Browns from doing what they're doing. We're going to talk a few minutes about Ron. We're going to talk about coaches.
Yeah.
And really, there's a huge problem in Cleveland right now, and it's not just with Kitchens, but it's with Dorsey too. The fact he hasn't pulled the trigger is almost ridiculous.
Pulled what trigger?
Getting rid of this disaster.
That would be ridiculous. Man, right? You predict coaches being fired mid-season so often, and it never happens for a reason, because it would be so stupid to let Freddie Kitchens go right now. Listen, if Freddie Kitchens, again, we keep saying if they run the table. We've been saying if they run the table for 4 weeks now. But look, if let's say the Browns go 8-8, let's say they go 3-1 in the next 4 weeks. All right, that'll be 8-8. That's a half game better than last season. That's a huge disappointment for this team.
I hope they go 8-8.
Yeah, hold on. It's a huge great. It's a huge disappointment for this team. However, it is an improvement, and 8-8 would mean that the Browns would be 4-2 in their division. Okay, the Browns since 1999 have only managed to be 500 in the division 1 year. They've never had a winning record in the division. So there's a lot of things that you can point to. And listen, obviously Dorsey wants us to work out. This is his guy. He knew he wouldn't be a finished product year one. There's a lot of things you're going to be able to point to, and you're going to be able to make an argument for Kitchens to come back, and you're definitely going to be able to make an argument that he should be one and done. But firing him mid-season is nuts. Firing a coach mid-season, like even what the Panthers did, good for them because they got nothing to lose. But even that does not help their organization at all. The part with Ron Rivera right now, it doesn't help. The Browns are one of the few teams that have done it, and they've done it within the last 3 years. It's not going to happen again. But anyway, we're gonna have plenty of time in the after the Super Bowl and moving forward to talk about the Freddie Kitchens thing.
Well, let's go right into coaches now. So Ron Rivera. Odds and ends. Ron Rivera was let go by the Panthers, and it's kind of a bit surprising because when we did our hot seat take a few weeks ago, he wasn't even on my hot seat. I don't remember. I don't think I remember talking about Ron Rivera on the hot seat. I was talking about Cam Newton getting traded, but I never thought Rivera would be held accountable for this. Listen. When it comes to firing coaches mid-season, it's all about setting the tone, setting the message for 2020. I want to ask you this from a Browns perspective. At this point, is there really an importance for the Browns to win another game in 2019?
Sure. Every win's important.
Winning, important.
When everybody uses that stupid C word and not the bad C word, but culture, culture is winning. That's it. Every win is important. Every single win goes towards improving the culture.
Got it.
Absolutely. Every win is important.
But you don't have that right now. You don't have any culture. And maybe that's why you do make that change so you can bring that guy in and hopefully bring in that type of culture. Because we're supposed to be talking about Rivera.
Yeah, now is not the time you do that.
But the biggest thing is with Rivera, I was surprised by this one. There's guys that I would have picked way ahead of Rivera. Kitchens being one of them. Dan Quinn was on my list as another one.
The reason I think you're so surprised, Ray, is I don't think this was a midseason fire to send a message to the team or to change the culture.
Right.
I think they think a lot of Ron Rivera and everything that he's done for them, and this was like a mercy fire. This was basically, you know what? We are going to go into a full-on rebuild. Cam Newton probably is going to get traded. Things are going to have to completely change in Carolina because Ron Rivera and Cam Newton have taken them as far as they can, and at this point, it's just getting worse and worse and worse, and it's deteriorating. And I think Ron Rivera is going to get a job like that.
Oh, he'll get a job, no problem.
And that's all it is it's the Panthers giving themselves a little head start in figuring out where they're going to go moving on. But to me, this was not a similar move to Hugh Jackson getting fired midseason by the Browns. This was a mercy fire. I'm sure they even talked about it, and he knew. I'm sure he knew ahead of time, and I think that's why you're so surprised.
Carolina's been having problems the last couple years, and really, let's be honest, this team hasn't been the same ever since Coach Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane left the organization. Just saying. Just saying.
Oh, gosh. Next.
All right, next. Eli Manning's going to be back under center taking snaps, Andy.
Oh, man. The New York fans must be so jacked.
They must be jacked.
Ready to rock.
What's going on with Daniel Jones? You're the one that told me about this story.
So it's not performance related, though it probably should be, but he's in a walking boot at this point. Because there wouldn't be any point at this time to bench him to try to get some wins like the Bengals did with Andy Dalton. Not to get into that, but I mean, again, like I said, wins are important.
Yeah.
No matter what they are, but Daniel Jones, I think everybody felt like Daniel Jones had just as much of a chance to win a game as Eli Manning. He's hurt. He was in a walking boot.
Well, we talk about coaches being on the hot seat.
Yeah.
Add the head coach of the Giants. He might not be around next year.
Oh, Pat Shurmur is definitely on the chopping block, that's for sure. And I think what they're seeing, I mean, I don't watch Giants games very, very closely, but I think if you look at what he's done with this new young rookie quarterback, I'm sure they're tempted to pair him with somebody else.
There you go.
Yep.
I want to talk about the Dallas Cowboys for a second here, because here's a funny thing about Jason Garrett. After their loss to the Patriots, and it wasn't just that loss, but Jerry Jones has made a lot of real negative comments about his coaching staffs. He didn't point out Garrett individually, but he made comments about his coaching staff. He's the only owner in the league, Andy, that has 2 radio spots a week, plus he makes a pregame speech because he's the GM.
He's right? I was just going to say that. He's also the only owner in the league that's the GM.
That's the GM.
Jerry Jones is an interesting character.
He's an interesting character. And I kind of made the prediction that if the Cowboys lost to the Bills at home on Thanksgiving, Garrett was gone.
Man, I keep telling you, you make all these midseason higher predictions.
Saying, especially if any owner is going to do it, it's going to be Jerry Jones.
Jason Garrett is like Jerry Jones' son. That's why he refuses to say anything bad about the guy.
Did you see him the next day, though?
That's hilarious.
He was on tears. In tears.
Yeah.
He's my coach. He's my coach. It was like Terrell Owens.
For now.
He's my QB.
Yeah, for now. Yeah.
All right, that's your odds and ends.
All right. Overreaction. All right, I got one for you. Let's figure out if this is an overreaction or not, Ray. With the Bills and their big win over the Cowboys and the Texans and their loss over the Patriots, the Bills are 1 game behind the Patriots at this point. We've got 4 games to go. The Bills can win the AFC East.
Well, the Bills can win?
How about this? The Bills will win the AFC East.
There's a lot of moving pieces in order to make that happen.
Yeah.
And this weekend's games are the games that this is the best way I can explain it to you, Andy. There are playoff teams and there's division winners.
Right.
Okay? Right now, the Bills are a playoff football team.
Okay.
All right? We are in. We've got a 2-game lead on any team even close to us. And this weekend coming up against the Baltimore Ravens at home, the New England Patriots are taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. This is the weekend that the Buffalo Bills need. This is their weekend to prove we're either division winners or we're a playoff team. Mm-hmm. This is the weekend. If they win this weekend against Baltimore, there's no question the division is within reach.
Okay. It's within reach, of course.
Today, I'm not going to say that.
Yeah.
If they win this weekend against Baltimore, it's within reach.
What if the Patriots win this weekend as well against the Chiefs?
I don't think they will.
That wasn't the question.
Yeah.
I didn't ask you if you thought they would.
If the Patriots
win this week.
I think if they both win this week, then the Patriots lock up the conference because they have Cincinnati and Miami after that.
Right. And you guys have...
We have Pittsburgh and the Jets. And so we've got Baltimore, then we're going to Pittsburgh next week.
Yeah.
And then we've got Patriots in New England.
Right. And Jets.
And then the Jets.
So I think best case scenario, no matter what happens this weekend, the best case scenario is the Bills and the New England Patriots end up with the same record at the end of the season. And for that to happen, that means the Bills beat the Patriots in their second game.
Right.
So I was like, wow, if they ended up with the same record, how would that look in terms of a tiebreak? So I started going through it because I know that the tiebreak obviously is head-to-head.
They're head-to-head, so they're tied.
And then you got to keep going down the list. So number 1 is head-to-head. Number 2 is your division record.
Right.
Well, they would have the exact same division record in that case as well. Number 3 is where it gets super interesting. Number 3 is, what is your record against common opponents?
Right.
And when you look at the record against common opponents, and you look at what would have to happen with them both ending in the same record, that loss to the Browns is how you lose that tiebreak.
Right.
And that's why I was like, I laughed a little bit at that. I don't want that to happen.
Right.
But if that is how that goes down, just a little ironic, I thought.
Well, listen, any team that's out of the playoffs is going to grab at any straw it can.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So you got a straw.
We do that every year. But you don't have to this year, so that's good. Yeah, exactly. So, all right, that's overreaction. Now, let's try to get through this fast because I know we're both excited about fantasy.
All right,
you want to start?
Fantasy, I had 2 games, Andy.
Yep.
Win, I'm in.
Yep.
All right, let me tell you about my ITRZ league first, okay?
Yeah.
On Monday night, he had Kirk Cousins. I had Seattle's defense. I had a 7-point lead heading into the game.
Yeah.
At one point in the game, in the very beginning of the fourth quarter, I had a 99% chance to win the game.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins drops back and finds Treadwell.
Yeah, I know who you mean.
Wide open for a touchdown. I don't even know where the safety was. I don't know where the corner was. He was wide open. Takes it in for the touchdown. I go from 99% to like 3% in one play.
There you go.
Right? Couple plays later, I was at 1%, and before you knew it, I was out.
You lost.
So I'm out on that.
Okay.
And on the bench, I had Geis with 26 points.
Nice.
And there was also another big mistake that I made with some. That's the league I started. Patrick Mahomes over Josh Allen, and how'd that work out? For
nobody could blame you for that. But yeah,
stupid.
That was dumb. Yeah.
Now in my other league, and I was taking on Mr. One and Only here, Andy Jardy.
And you know what was awesome? As I said, I'm not going to do you any favors. However, the one thing that I promised you is I will start Baker Mayfield. And the weather was supposed to be horrible, and I would not have and did not start Baker in any of the other leagues. And had I actually started my backup, Ryan Tannehill, I would have beat you.
Right.
So in the end, I inadvertently did you a favor. No problem. Listen, I had nowhere to go, but, so all I would have done is knocked you out of the playoffs and not be in the playoffs myself. What's fun in that? So I'm glad that you're in the playoffs.
Well, we did have a little bet. I didn't have time to get out and do what I was going to do today.
Right.
So you'll all have to stay tuned for another episode.
Yeah.
But I did have something pretty funny planned today.
There you go. Fantasy for me, Ray. That league that we just talked about that I'm not in the playoffs, the RBC League, is the only league that I am not in the playoffs.
Wow.
This is a big, big year for me. I ended up making the playoffs in the Dynasty League. Very unlikely scenario, but I climbed the second half of the season. I climbed out of that hole that I was in. I was dead last in the season for the entire first half. Started winning games. The team I draft, I don't make a lot of moves. These guys try to trade like crazy, and I don't really like trading.
Yeah.
And I just let my team develop into what it was going to be. I got into the playoffs, and I have a very equal looking matchup for the first round. So we'll see. Once you get in, anything can happen.
You never know.
And in my Yahoo leagues, several of them are leagues that I've won the championship in them before. In every single one of them, I made the playoffs. And in 2 of them, I won my division, which has a payout right off the bat. So I'm at least covered on all my Oh, no, I'm not, because that Dynasty League was expensive.
$200. It was 200.
So I've got that back, but I don't have any of the other entry fees. So anyway, I'm primed. My Browns are not going to the playoffs, but my fantasy teams are going to the playoffs. And we'll see what happens. It could be 1 week and they're all out.
There you go.
Every one of them. All right, picks. You want to talk picks?
Let's talk picks.
Man, you had another good week. You and Cameron both went 4-1.
Yes.
You want to know what's crazy about this week, though? All 3 of us called our upset correct.
Wow.
Yeah, so
That's crazy.
I ended up going 3-2 because I had the Eagles and I had the Panthers.
Right.
And you also had the Eagles, and that was the only one you missed. And Cameron had the Panthers. That was the only one he missed.
Okay.
I had both of them. I called the Bengals upsetting, so did Cameron, and you had the Texans beating the... So
that's right. Texans taking the Patriots.
So you got a 2-game lead on me again. You're 45-20, and you got a 1-game lead on the tiebreak.
Okay.
All right, let's make our picks, and I'm making you do yours first this week. Now, are you doing this thing where you're going to decide on the spot so our viewers have to listen to you think?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I'm making you go
That's
first.
how I do things.
I'm making you go first.
Well,
Let's
I'm
go.
going to get a little wild and crazy this week. A little
Woo!
wild and crazy, okay?
Okay.
I am taking Green Bay over Washington, which is pretty straightforward.
Yep.
I'm taking Miami to beat the Jets.
Wow.
Okay?
In New York.
In New York.
Nice. Okay.
I'm going to go... I was going to take Chicago over Dallas. I think I'm going to park that game right now. I'm going to park that game.
Parking. Here we go, folks. It's that part you get to listen to Ray think.
Kansas City over New England.
Okay. Wow. This is getting interesting.
Oh, boy.
Ooh.
I'm taking it. I'm going to the game, all right? Let me tell you this. I've been talking about this game a little bit for a while now, Andy.
Yep.
I knew this is going to be a big game. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. I've mentioned to Jeannie a couple times I really wanted to go to this game. It just wasn't working out. And then out of the blue today, I started talking to my brother Chris. And now me, my brother Chris, and Nick, we're jumping in the car and driving to Buffalo for this football game.
There you go.
The flights are over $800 return from Moncton.
Yeah.
We have to drive.
Yeah.
So I'm going Bills all the way because I'm going to be there to make a difference over Lamar Jackson. I think our linebackers and D-line are going to be able to stop him.
Okay.
And now my upset.
I believe you already called 2 games that you can call an upset if you want to.
I know that.
Okay.
But I'm going to take this as my upset.
Okay.
Cincinnati over Cleveland.
Are they yeah, Cleveland, what are they? Are they favored by what? Like a field goal or something?
Probably.
Maybe?
Yeah. I'm going to take
enough.
Cincy. You know why? Andy Dalton looked really good.
He did.
He looked really good. And that team, you know what? They could play a little bit of a spoiler for some teams. And that's why I'm saying even New England, they've got to play Cincy. That's an upset. Yeah. I'm hoping that Andy can keep things going in Cincy right now.
There you go. All right. I'm going Browns over Bengals.
Okay.
Even with Andy Dalton, AJ Green still not playing. There's no excuse, so I have to roll with it.
Yeah.
I'm going Packers over Redskins. I'm going Vikings over Lions.
Okay.
I'm going to go the Texans beating the Broncos. The Broncos, like you said, you have to be able to outscore Deshaun Watson, and the Broncos aren't outscoring anybody.
No.
And what I'm going to take as my upset, I'm taking the Cardinals to upset the Steelers.
Good pick. I was going to take that too, actually. But I like this. I like my.
You got an interesting little
here.
setup. So
Yeah.
all right,
I could be down very easily next week.
you could be, but you also could be 4 games ahead. So we'll see what happens. That's our show for this week. If you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, dislike, all that stuff, and leave us a rating and a comment on your podcast app if you are simply listening to us. Ray, enjoy your trip.
I'm going to.
My phone is either going to blow up and I'm going to hear from you guys nonstop, or I will probably not hear from any of you until Wednesday the next week, depending on how it goes.
It will probably be Tuesday or Wednesday because I'm going to be in the States and I don't want to use up my roaming charges.
Oh, I see. All right.
Yeah.
These Costco phone guys, man.
Thanks, guys.
Later.